graduate of Rutgers. No? Okay, great. That makes it much easier. See, everybody's heard the saying, a lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its boots on. But there's no catchy saying about what happens to you when you tell a lie while you're halfway around the world. So let's let this story serve as a lesson. No matter how far you think you are from home, tell the truth. See, I learned this a few years back in Paris when I was asked the simplest of questions. What college do you go to? Now, the easy thing to do would have been to say the University of Chicago, because among other things, that has the virtue of actually being true. But by now, you've guessed that that's not what I said. So, what would make somebody lie about what college they go to? Well, it's because I had realized that this question was a trap. I had spent the better part of 10 minutes in a conversation with a French student who was at the same university in Paris that I was. She was hosting an event, a seminar on Barack Obama's foreign policy, and she desperately wanted me to attend. See, I thought it was enough to just take the flyer, mumble merci, and wait for her to move on to the next victim. But she wasn't having any of it. She peppered me with questions. Do you have something else to do? Is it important? Can it wait? What if you could bring a friend? You know it's important, right? I mean, this is a serious issue. And all I wanted to do was get out of the conversation. So when she asked me, what college do you go to? It wasn't making conversation, it was a tactic. Because I believed that she knew that once I said the University of Chicago, she would point out that President Obama used to teach there, and his house was just a few blocks from my apartment, and it would be a reason to get me into this seminar that I wanted no parts of. So I made the only logical choice. I said the name of the first university that I was sure she would never have heard of. I go to Rutgers, I told her. I waited for the confusion to cloud her features and for her to move on to the next person, but she smiled. She goes, oh my God, my best friend's studying abroad there next year. What are the odds? Well, that's a fair question, what are the odds? But yeah, I pretended that I was happy about this. Cool, what are the chances? Now you can move on. Stay here, she says. I'll go get her. Well, now I'm faced with a terrible choice. The choice of looking like a crazy person by running out the door, or looking crazier by saying, I lied about the college that I go to. So I decided to stay put. How hard can it be to pretend to be a Rutgers student? It can't get any worse. And then, of course, it got much worse. Because as she brings her friend towards me, this girl, this future Rutgers student, comes running up towards me. Oh my God, we had class together last semester, do you remember? Well, I do, because what I remember is that 2 weeks into the school year, I was standing in front of a class of 30 French students, giving a presentation entirely in French, comparing the French Constitutional Court to the US Supreme Court. And this girl sat right in the back, looked at me, and laughed for 10 straight minutes. We were not friends. And I was not about to let her realize that I was lying. She wasn't going to uncover this. So she sits down next to me. Tell me everything. Well, that's not going to take very long, because here's what I know about Rutgers. It's somewhere in New Jersey. The sports teams are the Scarlet Knights, and I think they're pretty okay at football. That wasn't going to work. So at this point, I had to revert into college tour guide mode. Now, if you've ever had the fortune of going on many, many college tours, you know that they're all the same. The architecture's different, but the takeaways are identical. The classes are great. The professors are so friendly and helpful. The food is surprisingly good, and I've never felt unsafe on campus. So I run through the checklist, hit all the points, and she's still not satisfied. I still can't get out of this conversation. She starts peppering me with questions. Do they have such and such club? Oh, sure, my friend's in that. She loves it. I don't do it, but it's great. I mean, colleges have a lot of clubs, right? Like, what are the chances? What's the best place to eat on campus? There's a pizza place. All the students go there. There's always a pizza place. Where should you live? I'll have to think about that one. There's a lot of great options. There might be great options. I don't know, but I didn't have any great options to get out of this conversation. Until it occurred to me that there was one way that I could escape. I grabbed my backpack, I checked my watch, and I said, well, there's this seminar on President Obama's foreign policy that I gotta get to, so I'm just gonna run. She jumps up and she gives me a big hug. We have to get coffee sometime. Absolutely, I say. Definitely not, I think. And so I was getting ready to leave. She goes, wow, all that time we were in class together, I had no idea you went to Rutgers. No kidding, I said, having learned a valuable lesson about truth-telling. What a small world.
Arianna, everybody. The only university